Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. You got Brenner hosting as always, and this week it's a deadly duo. You got me and Spoon on the mic. We're going to cover everything combine, post, everything free agency, pre. So we're going to get all that plus a lot more. So let's just dive right into things. I mean, what a weekend it was with the combine, and I would just like to say I was wrong. I came on the show last week and I said the 40-yard dash record isn't really
We
in
were
any
we were
kind of,
both wrong.
yeah.
I even said the same thing.
I was like, it's not in any danger of being broken. Really. I mean, there's some guys that are going to run high 4.2s, but like, meh, that's an Xavier Worthy just shoves his fucking fist down both of our throats and says, "Fuck you." Dude ran a 4.21 and set the new combine record, which is immensely impressive when you think about the fact that the 10-yard split record for the 40-yard dash is set by Chris Johnson still, and that's at a 1.4, and Worthy's 10-yard split was a 1.5. So he was a whole tenth of a second slower getting out the gate and still ran a hundredth of a second faster in the end. So his top end speed is crazy.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. Well, that's what, from watching him all year, that's what I've noticed. And I even talked to my uncle. My uncle's a huge Longhorns football fan. And after I saw that he broke the record, I actually text messaged him. I was like, "Hey, you see Xavier Worthy?" He was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "I watched all year." He said, "If you just get him into some open space, he's gone. That's it." And I mean, from the 40-yard dash, he proved that.
Yeah.
You get him some once
he-
like that speed at the beginning, it's a little slow, but as soon as you get him to
and I wouldn't even call him slow. I just wouldn't call it. He's
No.
not the most explosive guy. He's not
Right.
a Tyreek Hill acceleration type of guy. So, you know,
But based off of what you saw all year, like you just get him into some space and he's gone.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the 40-yard dash looked like. You get him into, you let him get going, he's gone. Prime.
Yeah, he popped off, dude. There was one other that got touched at the combine. Do you know what that was?
I don't know the other record they got.
So it was every year they take a little radar gun, they point it straight ahead, and they have a quarterback get in front, and they have all the quarterbacks throw as hard as they can at a mat, and then they radar gun how fast the ball went.
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton, baby.
Yep.
Joe Milton tied Josh Allen's 62-mile-an-hour record for the combine. Threw the ball 62 miles an hour.
I actually did see that. I just forgot about it, so that's my fault.
Yeah.
But I did
All
see
good,
that.
all good. And then right behind him was J.J. McCarthy at 61. I think Bo Nix came in at I think he had a 58, and Michael Penix had like a 57. I think it was either Michael Penix or Spencer Rattler. I can't remember, but the Joe Milton. I mean, we'll just jump into the elephant in the room. Him
Go
throwing
ahead.
deep passes at the combine was fucking insane. He had a 73.5-yard air yards pass. So the pass went he overthrew the receiver, which is fine at the combine. It's not about making connections. It's about them getting to see you throw and watching the ball come out of your hands, watching your footwork. And 73.5 air yards. And it's not like he crow hopped into it and, reared back. He just took like a standard 5-step drop, planted, and threw the ball. And I mean, he even waited for the receiver for a second. He held the ball and waited and then chucked it up.
Well, the receiver caught it.
Not the 73-yard one.
Sure?
Yep, 100%.
Okay, I could have swore I saw the
He
receiver
caught
that
one.
one.
There was one that they caught at like the 20-yard line.
Okay.
But the 73-yard one landed at like the 16, and that one was an overthrow. But there was the first one he threw, and everybody was kind of like, all right, here we go. Here's Milton. And
He's
then
getting warmed up. Yeah.
And he underthrows it by like 10 yards, and they're like, oh, that was kind of weird. And then he just starts fucking dropping bombs on people. It was crazy, especially guys like Spencer Rattler were out there and they were hitting like the 40, the 35-yard line, and then Joe Milton trots out there and casually drops him on the 20-yard line. You're like, that's an extra 15 yards. Like, that's insane.
So, question on this. Obviously, we both think that Joe Milton did just fine at this combine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it definitely helped his draft grade for sure.
Yeah.
How do you think Spencer Rattler did?
I mean, I definitely don't think he moved up or down the board in general, just because of the way the other quarterbacks performed. I think
Okay.
JJ McCarthy, he didn't really show anything special in the short passes or the the quick outs or anything like that. The place that he shined was they run the deep corner routes, and he looked good on that, and then he looked good in the fade game. I think that Milton struggled a lot throwing the goal line fades, which I don't like to see. They were way too flat.
Yeah.
But I think that there was just a lot of ups and downs for everybody, and I definitely think Milton's arm was like the big talking point. But I don't feel like anybody really separated themselves from the competition, outside of a few good things by JJ McCarthy that the scouts really liked and what we're hearing from the combine. But just watching it, I sat down, I watched the whole thing, all the quarterbacks throw, everything. And I mean, Michael Penix's spiral, like that dude puts the fucking zip on that ball. I mean, special spiral. I mean, it's so tight, just right in. It's like a needle every time. And then I know you hate to hear this, but
I'd go ahead, say
but
it.
Bo Nix's deep passes were short. I mean, he basically had to run back to the 5-yard drop or the 5-step drop and throw it as quickly as he could, or else the receiver was overrunning the throw and had to stop and wait. So his arm, they did say on the broadcast that a lot of people were worried about his arm talent and that they weren't worried about it necessarily. That is my major concern with him. I think I'm not saying he can't process reads at the next level in the NFL, but I haven't seen him do it efficiently. I've seen him try, and that was when he was at Auburn. Now, granted, he was younger, he was less experienced, and when he was at Auburn, he couldn't do it. And then they brought him to Oregon, simplified everything, and he got amazing.
Well,
So
I don't know if they like really simplified it because
they
I think
simplified the hell out of it. They made it
I just
2 reads a play. Like he is here, pick the open man. Like that's all he
I
had to
just
do
know
every
that
play.
from the gameplay that I've seen, and I know that like that basically what you just said is he is really good at reading the defense and knowing what they're running, and he can throw a receiver open. I've seen it. I've watched the film. I see him throw a pass before the receiver is even open because he knows what the receiver's about to do. And I mean, it's easy. It's just dots the whole time.
I think you're
And
getting confused because he does have great anticipation, but I don't believe he throws people open. But he does have great anticipation. They're different. The anticipation is there. Like he can throw it before they're ready and then they turn and it's there. But like throwing somebody open, that's what Brady did, right? Brady had Gronk on a seam route and Gronk's running and there's a dude right here and Brady would put it way up here in the corner and Gronk would have to turn and make a spectacular catch that only he could make, and he threw him open. He threw the ball to a spot where only he could make a catch. So, but I do agree with you that Bo Nix's anticipation is extremely high level, but I attribute that to the fact that he was doing such simple reads. Oregon runs the same offense that the Bears had Justin Fields run last year on a more streamlined level, essentially. The Bears one's a little more difficult because it's a pro style offense, and the one at Oregon's more of a spread style. Just get the ball out into receivers' hands quick, let them work in space, let them make men miss, let them do their thing. But I don't think Bo Nix is a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's a year one starter. I think he's a very similar to like a Chase Daniels, a Case Keenum, that level of player that could go on to have an NFL career. I just don't think it's a starting NFL career. Just as right now, I don't think Joe Milton has a starting NFL career. I think his arm is amazing. Dude has not shown me at all that he has played 5 years in college in a pro style offense, and he has not shown me that he can play it and do it well. He's my draft crush still. I love him. I think he has all the talent in the world.
Okay. So my one of my questions back to this is that obviously Bo Nix is way more athletic than JJ McCarthy. Joe Milton has a better arm than JJ McCarthy.
Yes.
Are you still on board with JJ McCarthy going high in the draft?
Yes. I think JJ. Think of JJ.
I don't think he has. Yes, I don't think he's even close to the other candidates whenever it comes to.
See, with JJ McCarthy, he's an underrated athlete. He has good athleticism. People sell him short, but he's a good athlete. He can get out and move. He he can do that. Like that's not. I'm not drawing up like read options for him, but I'm also not drawing up read options for Bo Nix at the pro level. Like he can run it in college. Bo Nix had those designed runs put in there because he's that good of an athlete. And I think Bo Nix as an athlete, I said it last week, is more like a Taysom Hill. He could play like 4 different positions on the field. He could play tight end, running back, wide receiver, quarterback. Athletically, he could do all those things. Whereas JJ McCarthy is not touching any other positions athletically. But if he got pressured in the pocket, I definitely think he could step up, make a man miss, and scramble for 15 yards. That's not beneath him. And so I have JJ McCarthy currently as a tie for my quarterback 3.
Bro.
So here's the thing.
Who is he tied with?
So here's the thing, all right? So Caleb's going number 1 overall.
Obviously.
I said it last week. That's say it
easy.
again. Jaden Daniels is my quarterback 1 in this draft. I would take Jaden Daniels if I could have anybody. Caleb's my number 2 because of the absolutely insane, incredible arm talent that he possesses. And then
I feel like you also like quarterbacks that are more like Lamar Jackson because you were high on Lamar Jackson. I think Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson 2.0, like you've said before.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I
think that's probably why you're higher on him than most other people are.
The reason I'm high on Jaden is because he did everything Lamar Jackson did in college. Remember when Lamar Jackson was in college? You're like, holy shit, fucking insane, crazy.
It was like unbelievable.
He was
Heisman.
the hype. He was the hype. Like nobody could believe.
Unbelievable Heisman run.
Like it was like Johnny Manziel and then Lamar, and those two were like, oh my god, like holy shit, like this isn't, the fucking people aren't this good at football. Like it was crazy. And Jaden Daniels just did everything Lamar did, plus more, in the SEC as opposed to the ACC. Yeah. So he did everything Lamar did against way tougher competition. And now, he didn't exactly have the best NFL career, but people are like, well, Jaden has all these great weapons. I mean, Lamar had Devontae Parker, and I know what you're going to say, like, oh, Devontae Parker's not that good in the NFL. He wasn't that good in the NFL.
I'm not going to say that because I was high on Devontae Parker whenever he
played well in college.
I thought he was a very exceptional wide receiver.
He was a great college wide receiver. Didn't translate to the NFL, but in college he was really good. And that happens all the time. Laquan Treadwell, great college receiver at Ole Miss, total bust in the NFL. Henry Ruggs, now obviously his career was cut short for other reasons, but before that, he was definitely on the bust 101 pathway. So that kind of stuff happens to first-round wide receivers all the time. But they were still great in college. They were still great college receivers. And so now I will absolutely say this LSU team would wipe the floor with that Louisville team. Like, I'm not trying to debate that, but I'm just saying if Lamar was coming out this year, it would be Lamar versus Caleb. Like the hype versus those two would be like fucking titans colliding. And Jaden Daniels just did everything Lamar did and more, and we're like, quarterback 3 maybe. And I'm just like, why? Like what? Like,
I mean, I have him as my quarterback 2 behind Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah.
But it's not because of my personal. That's just what.
Yeah.
What everybody else sees. So I told you I'm never really high on Caleb Williams. I just know that he's going number 1. Like you're just. If you don't see him going number 1, like you're kind of crazy.
Blind. It's happening.
Would I take Caleb Williams? I don't know. I'd probably honestly I would probably trade down.
I would take.
I think the hype. Yeah, I would.
Daniels.
I would trade, get an extra pick, trade down, maybe take Daniels or May, because the hype around Williams is just so much right now.
So here's my thing. Hype. So you asked who JJ was tied with, or who McCarthy was tied with.
I would guess Drake May, obviously.
And it's Drake May.
Yeah.
And the reason they're tied is because they both have huge ifs. They've both shown me that when they are needed, they can make amazing plays and do amazing things. JJ McCarthy was the best third down and long quarterback in the nation last year. Best on third and long of anybody. Like, he didn't get like this, like a bunch of continuous reps throughout the game and a bunch of chemistry to build throughout the game. They were like, all right, hey, we need you, make the pass. And he would dial it up. He would make the pass when he was needed, and they'd move the chains. Now, granted, he also had fucking 17 other NFL players on his team, so that's why he's not my quarterback 1. The reason he's tied with May is JJ has the what if of, well, he didn't get to throw that much, so did they trust him, or was it they just didn't need him to throw? Drake May has the what if of, he could be really good if he gets with the right coaching staff. So like,
see, and
they both have two huge what ifs to me, and it's just hard for me to separate those two.
And my big problem with that, though, is that I know that the Big Ten won the national championship. Obviously, Michigan did.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never high on the Big Ten this whole year at all. They didn't do great whenever it came to the bowl games. They lost more than they won.
Yeah.
The only standout team was Michigan. And honestly, like, I hate to bring up, like, past shit, but Alabama should have won. They had the game won, and they fucking blew it. They really did. They had Michigan beat, and they blew it.
They blew it, and they won. They lost.
They lost. And
I mean, if we're playing that, Georgia should have won because Georgia should have been in the national championship game, and Georgia would have wiped the floor with all four of those teams.
I mean, they wiped the floor with Florida State without their starting quarterback like we knew they were going to do. But I'm just saying that I was never high on the Big Ten. I didn't think the Big Ten was that good. I had the Big 12 and the SEC ranked higher than the Big Ten this year. And that's the teams that J.J. McCarthy was playing. Now, you take Jaden Daniels, for instance, the teams that he was playing, SEC's way better. That's why I'm so, like, I'm right there with you. I'm so high on Jaden Daniels right now. I'm higher. I think I'm higher when it comes to the Pac-10 than I am the Big Ten.
You mean Pac-12?
Well, Pac-12, Pac-10.
Pac-2.
Sorry,
Pac-2.
It's the Pac-2 now.
It's the Pac-2.
Sorry, I've been playing a lot of NCAA
Wazoo,
football.
baby!
I'm saying I've been playing a lot of NCAA football 10, and there's still the Pac-10 in there, so that's why I'm still saying that. Literally played some last night. It's so fun. I can't wait for the new NCAA football game to come out.
I'm going to take the whole month of July off. The whole month of July off and just fall into a monitor.
Yep. I already talked to my girlfriend. I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know when the new NCAA football game comes out, like, I'm probably going to be MIA for, like, I would give it at least 3 weeks, maybe a month.
You're like, you know what? Just black out from July on, because by the time that ends, it'll be NFL season again, and I'm booked again. So just cancel it all.
But anyway, back to my point. Like, I was high on the Pac-12 more than I was the Big Ten this year too. I think Michigan snuck by, and their defense is really what carried them against Washington. So that's why I'm still not high on J.J. McCarthy. I know that he didn't do great, but he did just enough at the combine to get the scouts like, oh yeah, like they were already watching him, and they were already watching him. A lot of people had him going up the draft board the whole time.
Absolutely.
And they saw just enough to where they're like, oh yeah, like this guy, like he's probably right where we're about to draft him at, which I would guess he's probably going to go between like 12 and 18, somewhere in there.
Man, there's speculation he can go as high as 5. There's people saying he'll drop out the first round. I don't know. I will say
it's kind of crazy hearing that, but hey, man, it's whatever. It's y'all's team. I don't get paid to make the big decisions. So y'all do whatever you need to do.
I will say that, and just one last thing on the quarterbacks. I did watch, like I said, I watched the whole thing, sat down, and Bo Nix, I did like his touch on the intermediate routes, but it was weird. He threw the intermediate routes really well with the touch, like being able to drop it in the bucket. But when it came to the fade passes, he was really struggling. And I don't necessarily know why that is. It didn't look like a footwork thing. Like he looked like his footwork was pretty standard and good, but that was one thing that popped out to me. I was watching all the guys' footwork, like Joe Milton, super slow and lackadaisical footwork that I think that, a lot of NFL coaches, are going to be like, listen, dude, like this isn't going to cut it at the next level. Yeah. Whereas J.J. McCarthy's footwork playing under Jim Harbaugh, they played like C.J. Stroud and him side by side, and they were both like identical dropbacks, like really good standard footwork, driving off that back leg each and every time, very consistent, the same way every time, muscle memory, boom, 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 boom. So, which is something that scouts love to see. Right. So, but as far as quarterbacks go, that's really all I had. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Not really.
Okay, cool. I just want to send out a quick shout out to Jalen Wright, Tennessee running back, ran a 4.38 at the combine. Dude is going to be, I have him comped to Alvin Kamara. He's went to the same college and built very similar, but way faster. So good hands, good power, good shiftiness, everything you want in a running back. I think this kid could be special. I don't see a big downside to him, but hey, that's just me. And then receivers.
You said Jalen Wright. right?
Yeah. Tennessee
I
running
was gonna
back.
say, he wasn't the fastest running back though, right?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't the fastest.
That guy from Louisville,
Yeah. No. I
he's
was
pretty
just
quick. I know. You're just giving him a shout out.
just give him a shout out. And then wide receivers.
Obviously,
I
I
mean,
know where this is going.
both
I
the
think.
Texas boys. Both the Texas boys. I mean,
Looking good, dude.
yeah, dude. I mean, Xavier Worthy with the 4.21. Obviously, Adonai Mitchell had a 39.5-inch vertical, almost 40 inches. Ran a 4.35 himself, and
Yeah, the
he's
third
also,
fastest wide receiver in the combine.
yeah, and also he's 6'4", 200 pounds, so he's not exactly a small dude. So, another like little tidbit, Lad McConkey. Did you see this kid?
I did not.
So Lad McConkey, I'm gonna give you some comparisons with an NFL player. All right. So Lad McConkey is 5'11". This NFL player is also 5'11". Okay. Lad McConkey weighs 186 pounds. This NFL player weighs 183 pounds. Lad McConkey ran a 4.39.
Yep.
This NFL player ran a 4.38 at the combine. McConkey had a 36-inch vertical. This NFL player had a 36-inch vertical. It's a wide receiver. His name is Garrett Wilson. Pretty good wide receiver in the NFL right now. Played pretty damn good with Zach Wilson throwing him the football last year, and that's saying something. So
He did.
I'm not saying he is the next Garrett Wilson. I'm just saying that their measurables very similar. Very similar. So
you are talking about Lad McConkey out of Georgia, right?
Yes,
Okay.
wide receiver. So, like I said, not trying to say like this dude is the next Garrett. Well, he's gonna guaranteed be a fucking hit. He's gonna be a star. Just saying.
So
very
I do have a
similar.
question when we're talking about these receivers, real quick, and
Yeah.
obviously it is about Xavier Worthy. So we've done a few mocks. We were talking to our buddy Steven,
Yeah.
and he was talking about the Chiefs taking Xavier Worthy at the tail end of the first round. Now, from all the mocks I've seen, I have not seen Xavier Worthy go in the first round. I've seen him go in the I've seen him go in the second, like a mid-second round pick.
Yeah.
Do you think with him breaking the 40-yard dash record that bumps his draft stock up enough to where he could go at the end of the first round?
I think it bumps his draft stock enough that he could go in the late middle of the first round. I could see just like a early 20s pick, like somebody like shocking everybody and just jumping the line and going and getting him,
Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been seeing Adonai Mitchell, the other Texas boy. I've been
Yeah.
seeing him break into the first round in a few mocks. I've been seeing him go like very early second, but I've not seen any mocks that have Xavier Worthy going very high. And obviously, if you're breaking the combine record for the 40-yard dash. Like, I feel like that's something big that these scouts are looking at. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. If the Chiefs take him. The Chiefs love those speedy receivers too. AKA
Absolutely,
Tyreek
and
Hill, McCole Hardman, like
I could see
two big guys.
I mean, man,
I know Pat Mahomes loves these quick receivers.
I mean, you know who really jumps out at me? A team that has two really good wide receivers already, but it could become dangerous if you add this guy in there. They pick in the late or the early 20s, the LA Rams. Could you imagine throwing that in there with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp?
That'd be crazy.
Have those two just fucking finesse people with routes, and then him just taking the top off the defense. They having to play too deep all day, leaving Cooper Kupp in man coverage half the time, and then Puka Nacua in man coverage the other half of the time.
I just feel like that
Kyren
receiving
Williams
core is
running the
so
football?
small, though. I feel like they need to get a bigger body over there to help out. Like that way, they can move Kupp over to like him.
Man, you don't need to.
But
you don't need the size when you have all that like
speed. I know.
Like Cooper Kupp's not small. Like he's like 6'2", 215 pounds. He's not a small dude. He's not out there getting moved around. Puka Nacua is like 6'4", 200 pounds. Like he's not a small dude either. Like
I feel like they just run their routes very well, though. Like
they do.
That's all. I guess that's all you really need. As long as you can run
could
your
you
routes
imagine
well.
those two running double move routes over the middle, and then fucking Worthy taking a seam route up the middle and taking both the safeties deep? Like who? I mean, then you add Kyren Williams into this. All Matt Stafford has to do is throw an accurate pass 50% of the time and it's a touchdown. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't think that's a crazy take. I think I could definitely see that.
It would I think that would really take their offense to a whole nother level. But that's a out of this world kind of thing. I don't think that'll actually happen. That's a fantasy thing.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to touch on with the combine is I gave grades out for the fade, the short throws, or the fade throws, medium, intermittent, and then long. So for the fade route, I have JJ McCarthy winning that one. For the medium routes, I have Bo Nix winning that one. Intermediate, so like deep corner routes, 20 to 40-yard throws, I have JJ McCarthy winning that. And then for the long bombs, I think we all know who won that one.
Yeah, that's Joe Milton.
Joe Milton the third, baby. I mean, he is dropping bombs on these motherfuckers. Like,
before we move off the combine, I don't know how much more you have. I want to talk about Braden Fisk out of Florida State.
Oh my God, thank you.
Okay.
I was going to bring him up. Oh, dude,
I want to bring him up. So he killed it. Like I've been seeing shit with him going in the third round. I've been seeing mocks where he's going in the third round.
Athletic freak, dude.
He's very athletic. Like his dash was the best out of defensive tackles, by the way.
Yeah. It was a 4.7.
It was 4.78. Yep.
Yeah.
He
was like third in the bench. He was first in 40-yard dash. He had like a 39 or not 39, like 32-inch vertical. I can't remember all the stats off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can pull it up. Are you looking at the vertical?
Just all of his. If you
he came in first in the vertical.
So he's for those of you who don't know, and if you're new to the combine or new to the NFL offseason process, all these drills they do, the 40, the bench press, the vertical jump, the broad jump, these all measure different things. So the 40 obviously measures speed. The bench press measures strength.
He also came in first in the broad jump too. When it came to defensive tackles.
Vertical and the broad jump measure explosiveness. They want to see how explosive you are. How, if you have a really high vertical, then you're obviously explosive enough to lift your heavy frame up off the ground. If you have a long broad jump, you're you're explosive enough to throw your weight forward that far. So, for most football fans, we already know this, but for those of you who don't know and are new, this is stuff that, is important to scouts and NFL teams when evaluating these players and who they want. Because sometimes, you watch tape, you watch hours and hours and hours of tape, and all you see is this dude just manhandling people who are obviously not as good. And you never really get a true gauge for what their peak is. So, and then you can take their peak at the combine and measure it directly against other guys who may have played their asses off and been against tougher guys. So it just... it's a big puzzle. They're mixing and matching pieces right now. They got so much going on. So Fisk was absolutely the winner for me. He was my number one overall winner.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think he's the big winner coming out of the combine because
him and Worthy.
Well, I was gonna say Worthy. I mean, I already expected big things from him. I knew he was gonna do good. I think he did very well, but I still think Fisk did much better than he did.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if, like I said, I've seen a lot of mocks where Fisk goes in the third round.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if after his combine, he goes up to early second, maybe even a late first. Who knows?
So I had Xavier Worthy, Fisk, Dallas Turner, Amarius Mims, Adonai Mitchell, and then Jalen Wright as my biggest winners from the combine. Those are my in order. Those are who I had.
Dallas Turner did really well as well.
Dallas Turner showed out. He showed that he's not just a great football player, he's a great athlete. Back to Jalen Wright for a second, the Tennessee kid.
Okay.
Little tidbit. So as I said earlier, the 40-yard dash, there's a 10-yard dash split that they measure while you're running your 40.
Right.
And that for running backs indicates, like, you always hear the term turning the edge as a running back. That means like getting to the outside defender and getting around that outside defender as they pursue you. And some of these guys, there are some really good guys that, Devon, is it a Chan? It's a Chan, right?
I'm pretty sure we decided it's a Chan.
It's a Chan, Jameer Gibbs, and then Keaton Mitchell from Baltimore. and Jalen Wright beat all of them in the 5-yard split. So he is more explosive and has a better acceleration than all three of those dudes. And all three of those dudes are widely considered as extremely explosive, extremely fast running backs. So I really think Jalen Wright is my RB1 for this draft. Fisk did amazing.
Yep.
Turner's probably my DN1 now. Like overall, like if I had to have anybody, I'd probably take Dallas Turner. Amarius Mims just showed that, his tape doesn't lie, and he's obviously played at Georgia and had all this great talent around him. But he showed out like, I'm a fucking legitimate athlete, and I'm not just another cog in a machine. I'm a star. So, and then both Texas boys, obviously, like both had a great combine. So,
yep.
With that, I think we take a little.
I think let's go to the
move on. We'll talk more combine throughout the draft process. We'll reference back to things. We'll come back, touch up on things. But for right now, we are going to move on to the post combine NFL. And Spoon, do you know what comes right after the combine? Do you know what comes up next?
free agency.
Free agency, baby. We got free agency on the horizon. This coming up Monday, March 11th, teams are in the legal tampering window. And what that means is that players and their agents can begin talking to outside teams. They can't sign deals until Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time, 3 p.m. Central, but they can start talking on Monday and discussing figures. So we are less than a week away from that. And today is
franchise tags.
Yep. I got them all. Them all right here.
Perfect. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good. You're good. We're recording on Tuesday, March 5th. Jalen Johnson from Chicago got franchise tagged. $19.8 million is what he'll make. Josh Allen, outside linebacker from Jacksonville, $24 million. Brian Burns out of Carolina, $24 million. Cincinnati's T. Higgins, $21 million. Indianapolis Michael Pittman Jr., $21.8 million. Kansas City L'Jarius Sneed. They are looking to trade him though. So he did get franchise tagged, but he is seeking a trade with another team. He will be paid $19.8 million unless he signs a new deal with the team he gets traded to. And then the last notable one I have is Anton Winfield Jr. got a $17.1 million franchise tag from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can't remember his name, but Baltimore did franchise a defensive tackle. And I can't remember his name, and I apologize, but we will have that for you in a minute.
So going along with your franchise tags, I'm also seeing a reliable source, Ian Rappaport, from the Giants, is claiming that Saquon will not be franchise tagged before the deadline today.
Yeah, so the deadline is passed. We are past
it is past it.
We are past the deadline, right? As of right now, it is 4 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. It is past the deadline.
Did it end at what time did it end at?
1 o'clock today.
Oh,
1 o'clock.
Okay.
3 o'clock
it's
Central time. 3 o'clock Central
never
time.
mind. Yeah, it's over. They did not tag Saquon. So
with that, I'm going to need you to buckle in, all right? I'm going to need you to buckle in because we're about to go for a ride of names. I don't remember a free agency class this talented in a while. And I mean a while. So, no particular order. I wrote all these names down at different times, so they're in no order. You have Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Christian Wilkins, Calvin Ridley, Melcole Hardman, Jamal Adams, Zeke Elliott, Quandre Diggs, Patrick Queen, Russell Wilson, Hollywood Brown, Bobby Wagner, Alexander Madison, Austin Eckler, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Tony Pollard, Eddie Jackson, Tyron Smith, Daniil Hunter, J.C. Jackson, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Chris Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Devin White, Fletcher Cox, Stephon Gilmore, MVS, Kevin Byard, Leonard Williams, and comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. All set to be free agents. I mean, that is insane.
Before we go into free agency too far, I do want to give a shout out. Thank you, Jason Kelsey. He retired yesterday. So I'm kind of excited to see that, especially since we played him twice a year.
Spins like I've been playing this dude twice a year for the past 10 years. I'm done.
No, hey, honestly,
Good.
he had a great career, excellent career.
Did you hear his
That he
speech?
could never. I know it was. I did not watch his speech. I heard that it was emotional.
I don't blame you as a Cowboys fan. I don't blame you for not watching the Philadelphia Eagles.
I heard it was emotional though.
So I will say this: it was an amazing speech. It was moving. It was heartfelt. It was everything you want a speech to be. I think it was Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, one of the two, put out saying best speech I've ever heard. And can we quit it with the recency bias stuff? Like there have been so many great speeches. Fucking Martin Luther King, you've heard his speech, bitch. Like,
okay,
like come on, like stop it with the recency bias. I hate recency bias. It bugs me. It bugs me so much.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out before we move on.
Thank you.
Free agency.
Thank you for triggering a rant for me. I appreciate that.
No, you're good.
Recency bias. I doubt that's what you expected me to have to say to that.
No, I didn't think. I figured you were going to just congratulate him on a great career, and that was going to be it. No,
he did have a great career, and he won a Super Bowl in my fucking stadium, and I'm salty about it. But that's not the point. The point is he was a great center. He's a great man. He's a great husband. He's a great father, and we wish him the best in retirement. With that being said, I want to talk about some names. I want you to just kind of give me some places or place you think they could land. All right. Okay. Let's keep this simple. Saquon Barkley. Oh. There's a big one to me, man. There's a big one to me that
I have no idea.
I think he's going to Houston.
No clue. You think he's going to Houston?
Houston Texans, baby. Houston. Imagine Saquon with CJ Stroud.
I mean,
running game, that defense. Ooh.
I mean, that would be ideal, but it's like that's not the only place that he could go. Like I could see
no. But that's really like the only thing they're missing in Houston is a true RB1. And I think Tank Dell showed he could be a wide receiver one.
I'm also
Dalton Schultz. They just secured up today, signed a new 3-year, $25 million deal. So,
I mean, I'm also looking at the other teams that are losing running backs here, and like obviously the Chargers are losing Austin Eckler.
Yep.
That could be a prime spot for him to go.
Could be under Harbaugh.
Yep. I think that would be a great fit for him. Have we heard anything about Josh Jacobs?
He is a free agent.
You said he was a free agent, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they just pick up Saquon and let Josh Jacobs go. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. I see. I think Josh Jacobs would be more inclined to go to the Chargers than I do Saquon would because of think who's more comparable to Frank Gore, and Frank Gore is who Jim Harbaugh had last time he was in the NFL. So I equate Josh Jacobs more there. I'm really curious to see where Austin Eckler is going to end up.
I mean, I don't know what team would pick him up because I know that when it comes to fantasy, he was a great. Oh, you want him in Minnesota? You want him in Minnesota?
Yeah. If I could sign him to like a 2-year, 3-year, $15 to $20 million deal, done. Fucking sign me up.
When I look at Austin Eckler though, there's he's a great fantasy back because he catches passes out of the backfield.
Yeah.
But I would if I was the Vikings, I would go for Barkley, Jacobs, or Henry before I went for Eckler.
I definitely don't want Henry. Henry's got a lot of tread on the tires. Treads on the tires. He's got 1 or 2 good years left, maybe, and I don't want to run the risk of it being 1 and not 2. So,
essentially, getting Eckler is just getting an older Tony Pollard.
No, see, getting Eckler is getting an older Saquon to me. See, I see Eckler as a guy who can do both run and pass game stuff, and I think if you can work Eckler into the backfield with Justin Jefferson, because most people don't watch Vikings games. I don't blame you. But Justin Jefferson has been known in the past to work his way into the backfield rotation a time or two as a decoy. And if you put JJ and Eckler in the same backfield with a Jaden Daniels, I think that would be the most electric thing my body could handle, and I would die instantaneously from excitement. So, hey, that's just me dreaming. But in all reality, I do think the Vikings need to sign one of these big 4 free agent running backs because I don't think Jordan Addison, bona fide stud. I think he proved that. He had almost 1,000 yards without Kirk or JJ for half the year. So, he was out there getting, putting Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs on the map when JJ and Kirk were both out. So I like Jordan Addison. JJ, we all know what he is. He's going to get a new deal. And then
did you hear what the quarterbacks at the combine said about JJ? You sent it to me. Never mind.
Yeah. Everybody
every
wants
single
to play
one
with
wants
JJ.
to play. Yep,
Every
they all
single
want to play with JJ.
For those of you who don't know, they asked all the quarterbacks at the combine, they're like, if you could throw passes to anybody in the NFL, who would you throw to? And they all said Justin Jefferson, number one. So, but who wouldn't? Like, it's JJ. He's, there's a reason we're going to pay him $35 million a year, which is painful. But speaking of wide receivers, Calvin Ridley.
That is, that's a big name on that free agency list. And honestly, I'm surprised the Jags didn't sign him back.
So they would have had to give up either I think it was their second round pick. Okay. So I can't remember. It's either their first or their second round pick they would have had to give up.
For Calvin Ridley, I think that's worth it.
Man.
I'm high on him. I thought he did great last year in the games that he did play.
I think it was their first round pick. I think they had to give up their first round pick to whatever team. I don't remember how that worked. I know they had to give up their first round pick. I know that for sure if they franchise tagged him.
Then if that's the case, then I don't think it's worth it.
So they didn't, or if they re-signed him, period. So they didn't re-sign him because of that. So. And it had something to do with the getting him from the Falcons, from the gambling thing. It was some weird contract work in there. But
if he would have stayed on the team, then they would have had to give up their first rounder.
Yeah. So I
think in that case, I would have been fine with cutting him if you're gonna have to give up your first round pick.
Yeah. So this kind of sounds crazy, but Patrick Mahomes just lost Melko Hardman and MVS. I think it'd be pretty nasty if the Chiefs pulled off Calvin Ridley in Arrowhead. That would be a nasty combo.
It would also be crazy if the Bills traded Diggs to the Cowboys, and then the Bills ended up signing Calvin Ridley.
I think that
as their new wide receiver one.
I think that Pipe's dead.
Speaking of the Cowboys. There is a player that you listed that me and another Cowboys fan kind of went at it with.
Yeah, Tyron Smith.
So you can go ahead and say your thoughts. I'll keep mine short and sweet. So I know that Dalton's on here to express his feelings about it. He was very upset that we cut Tyron Smith. Myself was not. He has been available for the last 4 seasons for 42% of the games. Obviously, he's getting older. Injury is a major factor with him right now. So I'm completely fine with it. I know that he's a Hall of Famer. I know that he did great things in Dallas, but I think it's the perfect time to cut the ties and move on and try to find a new left tackle.
Yeah, and after you told me that he had missed so much time, it kind of changed my opinion on it a little bit because I do agree with that. Anytime you're losing, so the problem for me is it's similar to Trent Williams, 4 or 5 years ago when he left Washington. He had been hurt a few times. He was getting older, and Washington's like, we're not paying you all this money. And all he's done is go be the best left tackle in the league for the 49ers for the past 4 years and be an all-pro 3 times. So it's tough because he has such a high level of talent that if he was healthy, give him whatever he wants. Make him the highest paid left tackle. It doesn't matter. He's a great player. But if he can't stay healthy, it doesn't matter how good he is. So I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a very difficult decision for the Cowboys to make. And right now they want to secure Dak. So they are going to take money from other places. And this is one of those places they're going to take money from, which I don't necessarily agree with that part of it. But I'm not running the Cowboys, so best of luck. Another Cowboy free agent, Tony Pollard. How do you feel about losing him?
Not upset.
Not upset at all?
No. He did great 2 years ago. Last year, we tried to make him a 3-down back. We obviously showed that he is not capable of being a 3-down back.
Yep.
I think it was just the fact that, I did miss Zeke last year. I loved having that goal line presence with a bigger back that could just plow forward for 1 or 2 yards. Yep. Pollard was not that guy. He couldn't do it. He did great in open field, which is exactly what he did. That's why he got the franchise tag. He got franchise tag last year, right?
Yeah.
That's why he got it, because I mean, he was a 3-down back, and once you got him into some space, he was quick. He was gone.
Yeah.
This year, nope, couldn't do it. So I'm fine with that. I know that they are looking in the running back market right now too. I know that like Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry are all on top of their list. I don't know if we can afford any of them. Maybe with cutting Tyron Smith and the new salary cap, we could afford to pay one of them, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Maybe even I don't think Eckler is a 3-down back either, but that's
I think
you
Eckler.
probably-
I mean, it's tough. I definitely don't. I don't believe in the 3-down back anymore. Period. I definitely think it could be. We have Ty Chandler on the Vikings, so I would want to pair him with Chandler. But that's a personal belief. Plenty of people argue Derrick Henry was just rushing for 2,000 yards a couple of years ago. Their 3-down back's not dead, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Show me the last Super Bowl champion that had a true 3-down back other than the 2013 Seahawks.
It's been a while.
Exactly.
Patriots never really had
Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was the last one before that. So it just doesn't really entice me when I want to win a Super Bowl to have a 3-down back. I'd rather have a RB1 and then a committee behind him. Like there's,
Which we have that. Like we have Deuce Vaughn. He was our RB3. We still have him. We have I can't remember our RB2. We still have him as well. But I think we just I think we need a bigger back because all of them are small.
Yeah.
So we can just get a bigger back there that was like Zeke, who did just fine. I mean, who knows? Maybe Zeke comes back. He is a free agent. That would be fucking nuts. But maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we were wrong letting Zeke go. Let's sign him to a smaller contract since he didn't really do much in New England anyway.
And I mean, think back to like the Patriots, right? LeGarrette Blount and Rex Burkhead and James White and all those guys. You have Isaiah Pacheco with Jerick McKinnon, Damian Williams, all winning Super Bowls with the Chiefs. I mean, when you have these prolonged successes with running backs, it's because they had a main figurehead, yes, but then they also had guys there that could support that main figurehead when Isaiah Pacheco missed a couple games, or Isaiah Pacheco needs to take a few plays off, or those things. You don't have an Adrian Peterson that's going to go out there, touch the ball 34 times, and win a Super Bowl for you. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
so
that's how injuries happen. That's how that's how they get hurt, and their careers don't last very long.
Exactly, I agree completely. I know there's a name on this list that you really, really want to talk about.
There's a couple.
Can I?
I know there's two names.
All right, give me the non-quarterback name first.
Ooh, no, never mind. They're both quarterbacks.
Oh, they're both quarterbacks. Give me the one that doesn't start with a B.
Okay, so it's Russell Wilson.
Okay, all right.
Is that the one you thought I was going to say or no?
No. The one, I don't know who your second one was. Like, I don't know who the Russell Wilson one was, but the other one I know you want to talk about is Baker.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Baker.
But let's talk about Russell first. Let's talk about Russell first. What you want to say?
So I know that everybody on the pod basically said, like, hey, it's without a doubt Broncos are cutting Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Kind of saw it whenever they benched him at the end of the year.
Yep.
I just want to point out how dumb it was to cut him.
Dumb. I'll pull up
the
dumb. I'll pull up the
pull it up, dude. So not only did you cut a guy who I thought had a very good season. I don't think he did bad. He was my MVP once for sure during the season for 1 week. I think he might have been two. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the tape. But I know for a fact at least once I said, hey, Russell Wilson's my MVP this week. He went out and balled, did great, threw for 350 yards, I believe, something like that. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
All right, so
did exactly what you want him to do. And now you're telling me that you're going to cut him and you're going to pay him all this money to go somewhere else and play, and then they can sign him for cheaper? Because here's the worst case scenario. What if he goes to Vegas?
Ooh.
What if
division? In division?
Exactly, dude. What if Russell Wilson, and it's not a crazy thought. I've been seeing all the reports.
No, it's not a crazy thought.
What if he goes to Vegas, signs like a $15, $20 million deal? Could even be less. Who knows?
So, no. Here, you want to hear the crazy part?
Go ahead.
So the speculation right now is that he's going to take a $1 to $5 million contract because he's making $39 million from the Broncos this year. So it depends on what they do. They could cut him post June 1st, pre June 1st. I don't know if that affects the percentages at all. Let's see.
But they're definitely cutting him. They came out and said that
so they're cutting him. So essentially, This year, they are in the hole. It's already done. They're giving him $85 million, 49 of which go against the cap. So they incurred a new $45 or $49 million cap hit by cutting him. They didn't have that cap hit before, and by cutting him, they incurred that cap hit. Next year, no matter what, to not play for the Denver Broncos, he is taking up 21% of their cap. In 2026, he is taking up 20.6% of their cap. And in 2027, he is taking up 17% of their cap. I'll put it this way for you. There's only been one quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl, or only one team to have a quarterback take up more than 13% of their salary cap and win a Super Bowl. And that's the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. It's the only time it's ever happened. So, unless the Broncos nail it and pick up Patrick Mahomes next year on a rookie contract, like, you're pretty much saying, now with inflation, the 17% kind of becomes an opportunity in 27, but you're basically saying by cutting him, next 3 years, complete wash for complete rebuild. We have no plans to be good in the immediate future.
I just think it was and that's what I was looking at. Whenever all you guys said, oh yeah, he definitely gets cut. Oh yeah, he definitely gets cut. You're not wrong. He did get cut. My view, whenever I said I wouldn't cut him, is because of this. Exactly what's happening right now.
You want to hear something crazy?
Go ahead.
Patrick Surtain to the Cardinals. Denver moving up into the top 4 and nabbing and trading away Surtain and just going full fucking breakdown, full fucking fire sale everybody, and getting rid of some young talent in exchange for some picks.
Well, I was going to say that too. I think with them admitting that they're going to cut Russell Wilson, definitely it solidifies the fact that they're probably going to take a quarterback in this draft, more than likely.
I don't know.
I don't know which one they would take, but they don't have enough money to sign a free agent. So who is going to be their quarterback?
I don't know. It's really weird.
I feel like they're going to have to sign a
I want to know how. So George Payton is the GM in Denver. He was in Minnesota under Rick Spielman before he got the job in Denver, and he did really well for us. He did some really good deals for us. Helped us get Kirk. Helped us draft Diggs. Like, he did some good work in Minnesota. I don't know how that dude has a job right now. The dude just executed the worst trade in NFL history, and that's saying no. That is the worst. That takes the cake over Herschel Walker.
You think it takes? That's the other trade I would talk about.
Because at least Herschel Walker, like, that's been the worst trade of all time for the past 30 years. And I will say that's still a close second. But this, I mean, at least with Herschel Walker, like, we got 1,000-yard season out of it once. Like, we got production one time. Now he fell off after that and dropped out of the NFL and was garbage. But Russ never cooked in Denver. He never even got in the kitchen. Like, they say, that's the kitchen over there where you're going to do your cooking. And right over here's the guest bathroom. And Russell, where'd you go? Russell. And then he was gone. So I think
it was a dumb decision. I think they should have left him on, kept him for at least a couple more years, see what you could get out of him. Because I don't think they would have got nothing out of him.
You have to pay the money anyways. Why not have the player on your team? You can't get out of the money.
So they're paying him until 27 or 2027?
2027.
Dude, that's so dumb. What are the Broncos doing? What is going on in Denver right now? Like, I just want to ask that. What is going on in Denver? And that's my whole point. That's what I'm saying. Russell Wilson going to Vegas, signing a $5 million a year, having a division
play with
rival.
To play with Devontae Adams.
Exactly.
And Vegas was rival on his list of 4 teams that when he left Seattle that he would agree to get traded to.
And you're telling, if I'm Vegas, I'm hitting Russell Wilson up right now, being like, "Hey man, you want to come play with us for $5 million a year? We'll pay you.
I'll pay you $10 million a year. Fuck it.
I'll let our division rival pay you this much money a year. That way we can beat the shit out of them every year.
Oh
and
my
you can
God,
be like,
dude.
hey, yeah, you're still paying me, motherfuckers.
Oh God, dude.
Dude, that would be insane. That would be crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but do I think that 100% that's going to happen? Probably not. I could see cases where Russell Wilson goes to Atlanta over Kirk and signs a quick.
So hold on. Before you go there, So I have post-combine quarterback rumors and spots to go over. This was a perfect transition because
Okay.
Vegas is one of them. So I had here Vegas looking to find a permanent fix at quarterback, not a Band-Aid. Antonio
Okay.
Pierce said, we don't want a Band-Aid. We want to get this position done right. So Russell being I think he's 35, but I think he still wants to play for 5 years. He wants a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
So I don't think somebody like the Vikings would sign him because I think we want to go younger, and we would offer him a 1 to 2 year deal.
He'd be a bridge quarterback.
Yeah, I think what Russ wants to do is Russ wants to sign a 4 to 5 year deal where the first 2 years are $5 million, $3 million, and then the year after that, $40 million fully guaranteed, $45 million fully guaranteed. I think that's what he wants to do. So we'll see. I don't know that for sure. But
that would make him a perfect candidate for the New York Giants.
So hold on, not there yet.
Would it not?
I'll tell you, no, it wouldn't, and I'll tell you why here in a minute.
Okay.
So that's what Vegas is looking for. I think Russ fits that mold perfectly. The Steelers, as of right now, the latest rumors are saying they're sticking with Kenny Pickett. Everything I'm hearing say they took a look at the offense under Matt Canada last year and saw how bad of a position Pickett was put in and are giving him another shot to succeed. Now, I don't think that's smart, but that's what they're saying they're going to do. Minnesota and Atlanta, they're both in the same position. They're either going to have Kirk Cousins or they're going to have a rookie quarterback or they're going to have both. Like, I think if Atlanta signs Kirk, I think they just roll with Kirk and the Vikings get a rookie quarterback, sign a Gardner Minshew, let him compete, and then, whoever wins, wins. But they both, Minnesota and Atlanta, have $41 million in cap. We have slightly more than them in the future, but very similar cap situations. So both will make comparable offers. Chicago, Caleb Williams. Washington and New England, one will have May, one will most likely have Daniels. It's probably how they're going to go. And then last on the list is your New York Giants. And for those of you who don't know, Spoon has been screaming from the mountaintops that the Giants are going to take a quarterback and that they're going to move off Daniel Jones. And
I don't think it's a crazy thought.
Here's why it can't happen. Okay, there are low end rumors that they're going to move off Jones, and the problem with that is they still owe him $70 million this year that they have to pay him. Okay, $70 million this year, then $22 million next year. They only create $20 million in cap space next year by cutting him. So yeah, you free up $20 million, but you're also paying $22 million to a guy who's not on your team. So it wouldn't make sense to have a guy there. It would make sense in 2026 because you're saving $40 million and only paying him $11 million. And that's a little more, you can swallow $11 million when you're saving 45, but that's still
rather than what the Broncos are doing right now.
Exactly. That's still 2 full seasons down the road.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Russell would be perfect for New York.
But I don't think Russell.
I think
the way that goes.
Okay.
If you sit down with Russell Wilson, you go, listen, we want you to be our bridge guy for the next 2, maybe 3 seasons ish. We want to pay you. We'll give you $10 million a season. We'll do a 3-year, $30 million deal. I think Russ stands up, gets up, shakes their hands, and says, no, thank you. I want to be the quarterback. I want to be somewhere where they believe in me and they want to make me the focal point of the offense. And I think the only place that's willing to do that, Las Vegas. So I just
love that.
Otherwise,
that's what I originally said. I just said it wouldn't be surprised if they made a deal.
Otherwise,
with the Giants,
why go to New York when you could come to Minnesota and throw to Justin Jefferson?
That's true.
Why not be a bridge for us and you can throw to Justin Jefferson? Why not be a bridge in Atlanta where you can have just Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, like a good defense around you. So I see him going to a defensive head coach with a good run game and a good receiver. Now, that just screams to me Vegas. I see Russell Wilson landing in Vegas. Sierra would love it because of the
There's a lot of people moving to Vegas right now.
Exactly. The atmosphere, the city, the mecca that is Vegas. So
now, does it fit Russell Wilson? Probably not.
No, absolutely but he fits whatever Sierra tells him to fit, so it'll be fine. So that's my outlook on things. I think overall, I think if I had to bet, I would go Caleb in Chicago, May to Washington, Daniels to New England, New York sticks with Daniel Jones for another season, Atlanta gets Kirk Cousins, Minnesota drafts a quarterback, Vegas gets Russell, and the Steelers stick with Kenny Pickett.
So who's high on your list for Fields right now? Nobody?
God, I didn't even it slipped my mind completely. I don't know. See, this is the problem that fucking Poles has put himself. So in our group chat, I've been making fun of Ryan Poles because he had a market in one time that was rumored to be a first-round pick for Justin Fields, and now we're at a spot where like
the Steelers pulled their second-round pick offer from them, is what I heard.
Fields doesn't even fit into the equation anymore.
Yep.
Like the only teams on here are Atlanta if they miss out on Kirk Cousins and he comes back to Minnesota, and New York. Like that's it. And New York, I mean, I doubt New York's giving up money
to pay another quarterback.
Yeah, because they'd have to pay Daniel Jones all that money this year, and then they still have to pay Justin Fields money this year as well if they had him on the team. And then his fifth-year option next year would be worth $20 million. So they'd be paying Daniel Jones $22, and then they'd be paying Justin Fields $20. So I mean, they're paying $40 million for Justin Fields essentially, and that's just dumb.
Yeah. So to end this off, to a name that you still haven't said when it came to the quarterback position, because I want to talk about him.
He's going right back.
Listen, it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So before you say anything, I already know where he's going. I know all that. But I want to point out that I'm seeing this past week. I've been looking into Baker Mayfield. I've been looking at where he's going. You guys know that I'm on the Baker train.
Baker hype train leaving.
I've been on the train this whole time. And I've been seeing reports of him like signing in New England and being a second string quarterback, going to Atlanta, being like a bridge quarterback for a couple years. And I'm just saying, stop.
No. Stop it. Get some help.
Stop writing this crap that you just want people to look at for views. It's all fake.
Respect the name.
The only one that I saw that I was like, that makes a little sense was the Vikings. Do I think Baker goes to the Vikings? No. I don't think there's a shot he goes to the Vikings, but
I would take him.
I could see it. Me and Brenner had to talk about this off the pod. He's like, hey, yeah, I would take Baker, absolutely. And I said, hey, man, like, I'm just letting you know, like, if Baker were to sign with Minnesota, I would get myself a Minnesota Baker jersey. And then not only would I be cheering for the Vikings and the Cowboys this year, you'd have Brenner cheering for the Vikings and the Cowboys this year.
Because my boy Mike Zimmer's down in Dallas again, and I will rep Mike Zimmer until I fucking die. That dude is a G.
But to come back to my point with Baker is that I know that you said, Brenner, you haven't mentioned his name. You haven't mentioned Tampa because you know he's going to sign back. And I think that with them keeping Mike Evans and signing him, it's just insurance basically saying like, hey, like we're definitely going to bring Baker back because, I mean, we wouldn't bring Mike Evans back if we didn't believe in him. I think they believe in Baker. I think they're bringing him back. And there is a report that was actually written at 7 a.m. today that said Baker Mayfield engaged in positive contract negotiations with Tampa Bay.
Yep.
After reading that, I think there's no shot that he goes anywhere else but Tampa. I think it's a done deal. I think he stays there. Hey, guess what? Next year on the pod, you're going to see me in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey every once in a while, repping Baker.
Hey, I'm gonna say this.
I'm gonna end it on that.
How would you describe Baker Mayfield? Like, if you had to use one word, because the one word I would use is a dog. Like,
I would use electric.
I would use the term dog, and it's really ironic because Cleveland drafted him and then gave up on him.
They gave up on him.
They just gave up on him.
But Cleveland, I mean, they give up on everybody.
Could you imagine that Cleveland team this year with Baker Mayfield?
I think they would have
that defense.
It would have been stout. Would have been awesome.
I mean, yeah, but you know, if wishes were fishes, you know, that's another thing.
I feel like they could have got this. They would have gotten a better production out of Baker Mayfield than they did with Deshaun Watson, and they wasted all that money.
Absolutely.
They wasted all that money signing
all
Deshaun Watson when all they could. Yep, and whenever all they had to do was just keep Baker, let him mature
develop
a little bit. Yeah, let him develop. Like that's just the Browns. They're always like, oh, we got to win now. Oh, we've been bad for years. We got to win now. No, dude, like.
Dumb.
Just wait a couple years. Let these quarterbacks develop. That's what you're supposed to do. But every time they would draft a quarterback, wait 2 years. And it's like, oh, we're done with him. Bye. We're going to trade him away.
Now, granted, some of those quarterbacks were really bad. Tim Couch, Brandon Whedon.
Those I know. Like, some of them were bad, but it's like, you got to give some of them a chance. And when you have, like, Baker obviously the Johnny Manziel quarterback, like he didn't want to be there. You've seen he got depressed, didn't want to be there. But
Jay Money
Baker,
was a different story.
Baker just wants to play football, and you see that in him. You see it whenever he plays. He just wants to go out there and play football.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And that's what I love watching. That's why I love watching him play, because it doesn't matter if he makes mistakes, whatnot. He's going to come out there and he's going to, hey, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Spoon's on it. Spoon's still firmly on the Baker train. You love to see
100.
it.
Never left.
So, guys, we have a mock draft coming out later this week. We'll get out to you. But for this episode of the pod, we are going to sign off here. Thank you guys for sticking around. Like, subscribe, share us with your friends. Tell your friends how crappy we are, how great we are, whatever you want. Just talk about us. And we will see y'all later this week.
And hopefully our co-hosts are back next week, guys.
Hopefully.